I'm going to introduce myself quickly. I'm Dale Gunnoe, also known as DJ Swamp Boogie. I hosted a radio program in New Orleans for 10 years. Now I'm based in Gainesville, Florida. And if I get nervous, it's because I'm a huge fan. And I made the drive yesterday from Gainesville, Florida, to be right here today with you and talk to you about your life and career a little bit. And then if you see me crying later when you're over there performing, don't fault me for it, because there's going to be some tears. So I'm here with Elizabeth King, who's a singer from Memphis, Tennessee. Thank you for being here at the 2023 Baton Rouge Blues Festival.
Well, thank you for having me today. It's been a pleasure just to ride over here. First time I ever been into the state of Louisiana.
Really?
First time, yes.
Well, I'm very happy that you came down. I had a very, very small part in it. I just passed on Bruce Watson's telephone number to the director of the festival, and then it all worked out, and you're here today, and I'm very happy that you're going to be performing. So I'm going to give a little introduction of what I know about you from what I've read about your career, and then I'd love to hear some stories from you. So in the early 1970s, you were a recording artist in Memphis, Tennessee with Juan Ship on his Divine record label.
Yes.
And about 10 years ago, give or take a few years, a gentleman, Mike Hurt, who's a record collector like myself and researcher, found some tapes. And in listening to those tapes, he discovered this amazing gospel singer, Liz King, and Pastor Juan Ship. And so eventually they found you and they reached out to you, and I'd love to hear that story.
Well, I had, after Pastor Ship had stopped recording, and then I didn't record anymore, I just started singing. My husband was a pastor, and I was the director of the choir, so I just stayed with my husband and did the choir, and I would also sing, in solos, and then I sung with a group called the Star of the Faith. I sung with them for about 15 years.
Okay.
And so, but after that, we had a lot of people come by want me to record with them, but I refused. I wasn't going to leave Pastor Ship, so I said if he wasn't going to do anything, I wouldn't either. So that's how we connected,
okay.
And so we got back together, and we've been running ever since.
Now, you were telling me just before we started the interview, and this is pretty amazing, you got a phone call. Tell us about that phone call from Pastor Ship.
He liked to play. We didn't talk very often, but when we did, he always be playing about something. And then he said, how would you like to go in the studio again? I said, in the studio? I said, for what? He said, to sing. He said, this man found you, and he wants you to sing. He said, you want to go? I said, yeah, I go. I was just kidding with him. I said, yeah, I go. So, and then that afternoon, he called me, and Bruce wanted me to come in at 10 o'clock that next day. So I went in, and 10 o'clock, and Bruce said, hi, can you sing? I said, they say I can. He said, well, let me hear you. So he said, that the mic? And I started singing at 10:15, and I sung until 2 o'clock. And we did finished two recording that day. We did Living in the Last Day.
All right, which is the title of your first LP.
Mm-hmm. And then we did What You Gonna Do When the World on Fire. We did that, and many other songs we did. And a couple weeks later, I went back and finished that CD. And then they had an opportunity. This group was going overseas, and one of their members got sick. So Bruce asked me, would you like to go to Paris? I said, yeah, I go. I thought they was, playing around, be serious. And so then the week coming up to it, he said, where you going? I said, I don't have a passport. And he said, well, we get it for you.
Wow.
They got the passport. We was going to leave that Monday. The passport came that Saturday.
That's amazing.
And I went to Paris. I stayed over there 19 days. And when I got back, I did another recording.
Wow.
And now I'm back in the studio again working on another one.
So this was before you even released your first record that you went to Paris.
This is going to be the fourth one,
Right.
because he did the one that we did back in '70, in 1972 with Pastor Ship. He redid that over. And so, like I said, I've been just singing ever since.
Right. The first one was the reissue of your Divine Spirituals
Yes.
records.
That one called I Heard the Voice.
That's when I first heard about you.
Huh.
That's when I first heard about you, was when that reissue came out. I believe it was about 5 years ago.
Right.
And then, how was that? You go into a recording studio. It had been 50 years since you'd been in a recording studio, and did you know any of the musicians, or you just?
Didn't know nobody. Nobody but Pastor Ship. I didn't know Bruce. I didn't know none of the guys that were playing the music for me. We hadn't rehearsed anything together, but I just went to singing and we on. So
That's incredible. So I mean, how did that make you feel? I mean, literally, when that record was released, you were on every music magazine. You had national and international recognition almost overnight.
Yes.
After not, well, I shouldn't say you didn't have a career, but you, not on that level as a recording artist. Suddenly, you're back in that. How'd that feel?
Like I said, it was. I don't even know how to explain it because it had been so many years, and then at my age, but when I stopped singing with Pastor Ship, I had small children. Well, I had older children, then I also had smaller children. And my family was really more important to me at that time, to take care of my family, make sure they got an education and everything, something I did not have the opportunity to do. And I raised up all the children, they got grown. Then I raised up my grandchildren. And then when my husband passed away, there was nothing really for me to do. So I got a job, stayed on that job 5 years. And then when the singing come along, it was just, I don't know, I'm still in, I don't know how to explain it because it's just a joy to me, that the Lord let me live to really do what I wanted to do when I was young. Now I got the opportunity and I'm free because I don't have to worry about a babysitter, don't have to worry about a husband. So I'm just free to praise and worship God. And that's my whole life.
You're bringing a lot of joy to a lot of people. I can attest to that. Certainly, I'm one of them.
Yes, it's my whole life because nobody knows what I've gone through with my family. I got 15 children.
Wow.
And I had accident, and they thought I was going to die. But it was just so amazing how God healed my body and put me in a place where I am today. I never would have thought that I would have meet, the peoples that have come into my life, and it's just a joy.
Well, let's talk about that accident a little bit, because that not about the accident necessarily, but what came out of it was a major hit for you in 1972, which is I Heard a Voice.
It did, because when I was in the hospital, I heard his voice, plain. He said, my child, my child. And I thought it was this priest at the hospital talking to me because I asked for this priest after I got up. And they said, we don't have nobody on our staff. No. Then I knew who it was.
Wow.
And every time I get where that my spirit get low, my mind reflect back that it's God is taking care of me.
That's beautiful.
So it's just hard to really explain because if you haven't been there, you just don't know. And then when you've been there, you just can't express it the way I can't express it the way I really want it to come out. But God is the answer. That's all.
Well, you're lucky to have music to be able to express it, which is very beautiful, and it connects to a lot of people. It's amazing. So I'd like to hear a little bit about pre-1972. You were born in Mississippi, and then were you raised in Memphis?
No, I was raised in Mississippi.
Okay.
I stayed there until I was 15. I got married
Okay.
at 15. And then I lived in Memphis for like a year. And after that, my husband and I, we lived in Chicago. I stayed up there 4.5 years.
How long?
4.5 years.
Okay. Were you a musician then, or did you come to it later?
No, when I went to Chicago, I had babies and I worked. So I didn't do any singing.
Okay.
But that's why I left Chicago, because I wanted to come back to Memphis and back to Mississippi so I could sing.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. I came back to Memphis, and I lived with my brother like 2 months. I worked for him, and then I got a job. Then I started back to singing.
So growing up, it was Grenada, Mississippi, is that right?
I was born in Grenada, but I was raised up in Charleston.
Okay. Okay. Were you singing as a child in the church?
Yes.
Okay.
I started singing when I was 3 years old with my parents. My mama was a great singer. My daddy played the harp.
Okay.
And then my brother, I had older brothers. We had like a family group. And I was the little girl that they had to stand up in the chair to sing with them. But I did.
All right.
And that's where I heard the voice of Jesus saying, because it was an old hymn that was saying, I heard the voice of Jesus saying. That's what my mom used to say. So when I got older, I changed it around a little bit.
All right.
And that's where that song come from.
Okay. So now, where do you find your inspiration now with new younger musicians and this new career? I mean, I guess there's been 2 full-length records. I Heard a Voice, and then most recently is I Gotta Love. Both of those on Bible and Tire. Are you writing a lot of that music? I know that you've collaborated with some people.
No, most of them is like rearranged. Jimbo did the writing on the last one, I Gotta Love. And most of the songs, like I said, old songs that I rearranged, either like sometime Will, he wrote some of the songs that I sing. So I'm not a writer. I just sit down and talk to people, and like with Jimbo on I Gotta Love, he just listened to me talk. I express it in my singing, and he wrote the song for me. Then I add some of the, words.
That's Jimbo Mathis, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jimbo Mathis. He's written a lot of amazing music, collaborated with a lot of people. So do you have a favorite song on that album?
On I Gotta Love.
Yeah.
On that one, it's I Gotta Love.
That one's one of my favorites. I think My Robe. That gives me goosebumps.
Matter of fact, really, I love all of them on there, but some of them kind of, really stick to my brains.
Mm-hmm.
And I also got Believe I Testify. Now, I did that back in the 70s, but I redid it again.
Right.
As I got older.
That one's a little bit more like upbeat, funky. I was going to ask you if you preferred the slower, more sort of emotionally intense songs, because your voice is suited for that, in my opinion. Very intense, beautiful singing. Or do you prefer the lighter, upbeat? I mean, I Testify is almost a dance song. It's very upbeat.
Yeah, well, I like the slow songs, and I also like the beat because I like to move around, because say I have a lot of pain and I have to move. So I really like the music that they add into the song and stuff like that. I kind of like it.
All right.
But I still like that old sacred songs that I can go back to,
Sure.
And mostly when I go back to the old slow way, it just kind of make me feel more closer to God.
Okay.
How I express my feeling to what He done for me, and then after that I can sing get the praise on, So that's just the way I feel about it.
Do you still sing in the church today?
Yes, sir.
Where?
In Memphis,
I'm coming to find you.
Different places. They call me to sing. I go do anniversary, banquet. I'm not good on wedding songs, so I very seldom do wedding. I leave that to my daughters.
Is your church, are they supportive of what you're doing?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
What about your kids? Are they excited for you?
They excited, but they stay so busy. Very seldom I can get them to come because one of my daughters was down here yesterday, and she had to go back. Well, she was working down here, so
Okay.
she had to leave. So I brought my grandbaby with me.
All right. Are any of your other family members, are they musicians? Any of your grandchildren?
All of my children play some type of music except one.
Okay.
I got sons play bass guitar, keyboard, piano. Her mom played piano, and most of them they can play music, but all of, like one of my sons played for Isaac Hayes for years.
Wow.
He plays bass guitar for him. So now that two of them is preachers. So, but everybody's in church.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about this new record that you have in the works?
Huh?
Can you tell us a little bit about this new record you have in the works?
The one that I have in works now is right now it's some new songs on there that Jimbo wrote another song for me, and also I'm doing a rearrangement on some of the old songs that I did back in the 70s.
Okay.
And so I got a couple more new ones that I'm working on. So it's gonna be good.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Who do you listen to at home or in your car? Do you have a favorite singer or any favorite musicians that you like to listen
That
to?
I listen to myself.
Yeah.
My son told me, he said, I don't understand. You don't listen to nobody's music but yours. I said, well, see, at my age, I have to listen to my song in order to keep them in my remembrance because look, my remembrance is going backwards now that I done got older. I used to hear a song in one day, and now it takes me a whole month to learn the
So
song.
it's more like you're rehearsing when you listen to your
Yeah,
music.
I have
all
to
right?
rehearse it myself. I do, and they laugh because, but it's a fact. I have to rehearse it myself. I listen to, I do listen to other music, but most of the music now, Bruce is bringing a lot of the old stuff back, the old songs back.
Yes, he is.
That
Yeah.
I love to listen to, but this new music, it's fine, but I don't understand all the words they saying.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't understand the words to a song, I mostly won't listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my problem. But I do love the music that they are providing for me now.
Right.
And then I have some musicians like my son. They play, my old type singing. They know how to play that. But sometimes like gospel music is just not like it really used to be. And even the hymnalics in the churches now, they don't stop mostly singing hymn. They go to praise team. And mostly, like in Memphis, most churches you go to, all you have is the praise team. And the rest of the congregation just sit there and, and look. Now, you got a few congregation that does
Right.
singing. But most of the churches that I've fellowship with is praise teams.
Okay. Yeah, I've done a bit of research as a radio show host and record collector into different styles of gospel music, depending on different denominations and very distinct styles, and also within regions, like different parts of the country. But I think what Pastor Shipp and Bruce Watson have done so well with re-recording you, in my opinion, is really tapping into that classic 70s, 60s and 70s soul sound.
Right.
That is, it's beautiful, and it showcases your voice in a way that I think is very beautiful and appropriate, but it's not overly done. There's not a whole lot of extra instrumentation and things
Right.
like that I find distracting, but that's different styles for different folks. People like different things, but your records really resonate with me personally very much, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people here today, and I'm really excited. I'm sure you can tell. I feel like a little kid in a candy store.
Well, I hope I do well for you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful day here today, so I'm so glad you made it down, and you look incredible.
Thank you. Thank
I,
you.
I really underdressed for this
Well,
interview.
I had a whole new wardrobe plan for down here. And when I got up last night to let my grandbaby in, it was so cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to wear my coat down here. And I'm still cold. From
Yeah.
It took me a long time to warm up, y'all. But I have to get used to the weather, and I'm not good at. I have to wear long sleeves all the time because of the medication that I take. So, but
So,
let's pray that the Lord lift me up high today.
so besides Paris and Memphis, and now you've played Baton Rouge, do you have any plans for any other touring or any other?
I'll be in Birmingham on the 6th of next month.
Okay.
I'll be at that festival, and I don't know what Bruce never got lined up for me the rest of the year.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, anyone have any questions for Miss King? No? Did I miss anything? Anything else you want to add?
No.
Anything? No?
I can't hear you. I don't know about the musicians, but I know about the singers. It's gonna be hard in gospel singing because I don't know, like the sincerity of the mind and the heart look like it have changed because, like I said, they singing, but you don't know the words they saying, and look like they're not. Put their soul, their secret soul, into the music, and you got to do that in order, to reach people because it's hard right now. It's hard for I call gospel singers. They have to go to the.
So it's key. So you're saying the sincerity is missing.
Yes, ma'am. That's what's missing. The secret of the heart, the soul, and the dedication. Because you got to focus on one. If you're gonna serve God, you're gonna have to serve Him. And but when you're jumping from God to over here, it's not gonna work. That's the way I see it. It just don't work.
I think that's why I was asking you about if your church was supportive, because I've interviewed other gospel singers, and I know that not always, but there are times when people become popular and they go out into popular culture, the church becomes less supportive because they feel that maybe it's less sincere, or maybe
Right.
that path isn't the path that.
And see,
You know.
it always has been that gospel singing, you don't make any money. I put it like that. It's really not no money like it is because the world's support is on.
Right.
And then when it come down to church music, the world not gonna support it, but the church people will support the world. So this is what happened. And if a person, just like I came from Memphis down here, if I was singing the blues, I can get a big crowd just like that. But if I'm singing gospel music, I'm just gonna have a few sincere people that really want to hear. And so, to me, like I said, you got to be dedicated to one.
Right.
Can't be straddling the fence. That's what we call it in Charleston. You either gonna be on the right side or the wrong side. But most time when people get up there and make it good, just like they be good gospel singers, and then all of a sudden they turn and be singing rock and roll or something.
I see. Okay.
There you go. I've been asked to sing rock and roll, but honestly, in all the years, if you asked me to sing one blues song today that you would give me $1 million, I would be broke going back to Memphis. Yes, ma'am. But it just was Only a few. And she found, somebody found her and loved her enough to support her, to make her have the money that she needed. That's just like when Bruce and them found me to do, to do this for me. Like I said, it's somebody out there now gonna bless me. I believe that I won't have to worry, about finance or going anywhere. Because a lot of places I go, people don't even say thank you. And then I go to another place, people will bless me, and I'll be able to go to the next performance that I have to do.
Well, we're all very happy that you're here, and I look forward to seeing you perform very soon.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thanks
All
for
right.
being here today.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
All right.